Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Viewers, comments and questions live. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
We've missed you all. Hope you're all amazing.
Indeed. Hope you're jolly well on this fine Monday. We weren't here last Monday.
No.
We are here this Monday.
Yes.
Hopefully you can hear us loud and clear. I think so. Maybe a little bit more V's required. What's V for, Daniel?
Victory!
Volume. It's the same thing. Welcome. Viewer comments and questions. I am going to turn off the super chat immediately because we have enough super chats to see us through till 7 p.m, which is how long we'll be here for.
Super Chai.
Super Chai, yes.
Super Chai yay.
I have to apologise in advance if the focus goes wandering. If it can't see one of our eyes, it will focus on the high watt.
The focus goes a-wandering along this mountain. Anyway.
Somebody told us last week that was happening. Oh, it was Keith from 5 Watt World. Hello, Keith, if
Hello,
you're
Keith.
on. Right, if you've super chatted to this point, super chatted to this point, we will answer you. If you haven't, don't. There we are. Turn off.
How was your week?
Good, I think.
I have the same reaction when someone says, how's your weekend? I say, good. I think. I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah.
It's all just blending into one big ball of consciousness and experience.
Yeah, because you're busy right at the moment.
Far out, man.
Dan's crazy busy. Gig Rig is busy. Busy. More news of which in due course. And it's the start of the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that sort of slight bit of inertia that one has after the festive period.
Yeah. That's the inertia because of all the extra weight you've
Yes,
got over Christmas.
mentally and physically.
Yes.
And you just got to kind of get to it, and it does take a little millisecond or two. Anyway, I don't know about you. I feel like I'm in harness again.
In harness?
Yeah.
In harness. You
On
feel
the
like
horse.
Oh, okay. Very good. Yeah, no, I feel like I'd like to get to the horse.
Yeah.
I feel like there's that thing where you're running to stand still,
Yeah.
you know, like in that dream where you're sort of naked running through tapioca pudding.
Yeah, like all those people in gyms.
Yes.
With no disrespect to Jim. We like him.
I went to the gym today, actually.
Did you? Did
Yeah, I
you go to
did.
the gym?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I've had to stop jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
for, I reckon it's going to be 12 months. I've had the injuries have been creeping up. It's got to a point where I can only do jiu-jitsu from one side because
Yeah.
this side's broken.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of in rehab, but there's a little it's Next Level Fitness in Swindon, and Nick, who is my trainer, who's actually an amazing grappler, and he knows all the stuff to fix. So I'm
Right.
sort of there 3-4 days a week, just trying to get on top of it.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Well, that's-
so I'm trying. I am trying.
yeah. Well, you know what I think about trying, Daniel, don't you?
Okay. Well, I'm doing the thing that I'm trying to do. How's that?
For those of you not aware, sorry, I've got a bit of a lighting problem here.
What's the problem?
Well, not sure. We seem to be very overexposed, but that could just be our tube.
Sure.
Yeah, the quote about trying is from Yoda. There is no try, do or do not. And you are doing.
I'm doing.
Yeah,
I'm
good
having
for
a
you,
go.
mate.
I'm having a go.
Good for you, mate.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Let's see. So, Ross Chevalier.
Hello, Ross.
Hello from Newmarket, Canada.
Nice to hear from you, man.
There's this amazing film called Gentlemen Broncos, and it's got the guy from Flight of the Conchords in it, who's a writer, but he's a plagiarist.
Bandmating.
Band meeting, present. Oh, I love those guys. They're so good. Anyway, his character in it's Chevalier. Yeah, wonderful.
Hello,
wonderful,
Ross.
wonderful.
Hello, Rick Van Dyne. Hello, BV Ninja.
Hello,
Ooh,
BV.
not BV Ninja anymore. BV. Hello, BV.
BV.
Apologies. Thank you for everything you do for us, BV. It is massively appreciated. Not least hooking us up with Pete Thorne, who we're hoping to see.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
While he's in the UK, so we're hoping to get some thorny action on that pedal show, which would be really good.
Pete time.
Yeah. Pete time. PT time. Let's just stop. Mr. 501MC. One of us has to keep looking at the camera.
Why is that?
Or at least it has to see one of our eyes.
Okay.
Otherwise it will go out of focus.
Oh, okay. And focus on what?
The high watt.
Oh, okay. Right.
It's like, I'd much rather look at that than you pair of jokers.
Okay. Victor Gustafsson, greeting from freezing Stockholm. G'day, mate.
Hello, Victor.
Remo, hi from Jakarta, Indonesia.
I think she went by her own accord.
Jakarta.
Oh, no, that's Jamaica, isn't it?
Jamaica.
Yeah. Jakarta
no.
was, no, she went in a plane.
Right.
Yeah. Matt McGrath, hello Matt. Simon Weber or Weber, Michael Whitney. Marvin Box, hello Marvin. Francis Hogan is on. Wes Chilton's on. Andrew Jones is on. Scordies. Michael Giliberto. David Clark. ABCDEF.
G.
It's a good song. Moon. Douglas Broberg. Yeah. Hello everyone. We've got Canada. We've got the USA.
Canada. Swing better. Every time.
We've got Jerome Turner from San Luis Obispo. Do you know what's interesting about San Luis Obispo, Dan? I knew this without you saying it, by the way, because it does say it on the back of their headstocks.
Right.
It's where Music Man are from.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Justin Baylog's on. PD is on. Yeah. Good. Let us gallop to questions. Actually, before we do that,
we have housekeeping.
A little bit of keeping du maison.
I'll do housekeeping music while you do it.
Yeah, not too loud though, because it doesn't like the compressor doesn't like it. It likes that. I like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TPS Housekeeping Corner, presented by the one and only Mick Taylor.
Hey, howdy there, folks. Welcome to Housekeeping Corner with Mick here. The frequency of live VCQs will be fortnightly for a while. How long is a while? How long is your while? A while and a smile. A while and a smile. It gives us time to try out some other show ideas. We're going to do some live gear Q&As. So we're going to do this, but you can ask us questions and hear stuff. We're going to do some real rigs from actual genuine humans.
Real people.
Real people with real problems.
So many problems.
Moving right along. Check this little cutie out. It's a crochet rendition of Rosie. As you can see, we have Crochet Mick and Dan up on the back wall there, if you can see that. And we've got to say a massive thank you to Melissa and Holly, Mum and Dad Steve and Lisa, who came to see us last summer, and they handmade Rosie. They had to do some crochet for their Duke of Edinburgh award, I think, and sent us the crocheted Rosie. Thank you, that is so kind. We would bring Rosie in, but she's a bit tired. So yes, thank you very much to Melissa and Holly for that. There you go. Pride of place on the high watt. Patrons. Hey, this is a message for our patrons. Look out your inbox for January's giveaway. What was it? What did we call it? Xmas, Tonemas. The 12 days of Tonemas, Effectsmas, was a rip-roaring success. Gave all the stuff away, and January's pedal giveaway email will go out tomorrow. It is a JHS Emperor version 2. That Pedal Show store. We've restocked all our favourite teas. We've been very low on teas because Christmas was crazy and we sold a lot of stuff. But now we need to sell some more. So that's just the middle and both ends of it. Anyway, no, we're restocked on teas. So if you've been waiting for something, it may well be in. And brand new. It's brand new. Will be our TPS Electron Tube in fetching orange.
Told to do.
as modelled by Dan and indeed me. Anyway, there we are. For those of you who don't know, that's the way that pedal show is funded, by selling merch and a little bit of breadcrumbs that Google throws at us,
Yeah.
especially lately. No, we're not moaning. We don't take any money off manufacturers to feature anything. We don't do any product placement or anything like that. It's all funded by that pedal show store. So if you feel inclined, that's the best way to help, as is patreon.com. Thank you, Catherine, for preparing today's housekeeping. Ooh. Victor Gustafsson, is Super Chat closed? It is, I'm afraid. We had quite a lot up ahead today. So it is. Todd Roy says, hello from a rainy Nova Scotia. Mick and Dan, I'm getting a Fender Vintera Road Worn Strat in Fire Mist Gold.
I like them.
Yeah, me too.
I think they're great.
He says it's an okay colour, I guess. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
I have at least one Fire Mist guitar. I think you like those guitars. Indeed, we do. In fact, one of Chris Buck's favourite Strats is a Vintera Road Worn Strat. Well, it's a Road Worn Strat before they were called Vintera.
Right.
You can very similar thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
To enjoy, Todd. Enjoy. You could just, guitars are brilliant, aren't they? Wes Chilton says, my wife bought me 4 TPS shirts for Christmas.
Ah.
Well, thank you, Wes, and thanks, Mrs. Wes. That's really splendid.
Well, she has obviously excellent taste because A, she married you, B, she bought you 4 TPS shirts.
There
so
we are.
Amazing.
There we are. Bob Miller says, hello from the exercise bike in the garage.
Nice.
I think you should go and keep it company, Bob. Oh, I see. You are actually on it. Yeah.
Is it Peloton?
Yeah.
While watching TPS?
Yeah.
Going,
Come on. Peloton.
tone, Telecaster. Yeah.
A friend of ours did a what they call an etap, the stage. You can do it as an amateur.
Right.
Yeah. Hardcore, man. Did either of you meet Jeff Beck? Any stories, says TPF 151. Yes, we heard with great sadness that Jeff Beck died last week. It was astounding to see the outpouring of emotion and respect and tributes across social media.
Yeah.
Just how much love there was and remains for Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
So our condolences to his family and friends, and our thoughts are with all of you guys, because blimey, what a titan he was.
Yeah. Incredible.
For what it's worth, we tend not to post when people die because, for a lot of reasons, A, everyone else posts, B, quite often those posts are about the people posting, not about the person who is being posted about. So anyway, I don't want to put any negativity on it, but sometimes it can come off like that, and we don't really like to come off like that. And I think if you have a personal connection with somebody and you knew them, then absolutely share your thoughts, share your feelings. Dan and I didn't know him personally, so.
Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Funnily enough, Neville dropped in yesterday and told some really lovely stories about the times he'd met him quite a few times, and just recounted that he was just a lovely guy.
Yeah, right.
A really, really sweet guy. And my goodness me. I was sat in here doing some photography, I think. So I stuck on Blow by Blow and Wired.
Oh, man.
And you forget how much that guy laid down for what followed.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I forget. Maybe if you're a fan, if you listen to that a lot, then maybe you don't forget. But yeah.
So his tech reached out to me, man, must be over 10 years ago now. And before we had the QMS, actually, it's pre-QMS, but when we had the Loopy 2s, and he had a couple of them, and I saw them on his board for the stuff that he did for the Ronnie Scott's gigs.
Oh, wow.
But someone posted a picture of his board recently, and he's had them on his board the whole time.
No way.
Yeah. So
No way.
I didn't know And I'd never got a chance to go and see him play. It just either I was playing, it just didn't line up. And it's one of those guys that I thought, it'll happen one day, you know. It was so out of the blue. Like Pat Martino wasn't out of the blue. I knew he was ill.
Yeah.
But it was a real shock.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, condolences to Jeff's family and friends, and he will be much missed. He will be much missed.
Yeah.
Let us then gallop down to the super chats today.
Yes, indeed.
Oh God, yeah, there are quite a lot actually. Have I made a boo boo here? Have I put the wrong flipping thumbnail up? I think I put the wrong thumbnail up. Dope. I changed the text in the thumbnail colour so I can see which are the latest super chats.
Right.
Anyway, Rick Van Dyne is first.
Hey,
Hello, Rick. Rick Van Dyne. He says, quick shout out to Dan today. The Gig Rig G3 has changed my tone in my life. Just wanted to say thank you for making it.
Oh, mate. Yep. Well, thank you. That I appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
It's scary how fast you get used to it, Rick. And then when you're not using it, that's when you really notice. Have fun.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Francis Hogan, he says, hello, I missed you last week. Mondays just aren't the same without the live show. What are your thoughts on the new PRS SE lineup in general and the price?
I saw Dave Grissom playing his one.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to tell because Dave Grissom is playing it. And it's like, of course it's going to sound... Of course it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's in his hands.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're great. My favourite PRS is the single cut P90, the SE, that's still at...
SE1 it was at that point. I don't know if it's still called that, but yeah.
And it just sings like an absolute bird. I think some of the SEs are fantastic. I don't know PRS guitars all that well.
No, what did they release? They released the SE DGT, which is a Korean-built version of the DGT model. I think they might have done a McCarty 594 or something like that. Again, apologies. I don't know exactly all the guitars they released, and I certainly don't know the price. Let's see how much they are. Everything's expensive at the moment.
Yeah.
Everything's crazy expensive. Particularly, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone around the world, but here in the UK, American stuff is currently really expensive, largely because the pound has fallen in value.
Mm-hmm.
So American stuff is expensive, and going to America is expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's expensive. And, fuel prices, cost of shipping, lovely taxes.
Cost of kids' bus passes.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
There are buses then?
Yeah.
Are there?
Yeah. What?
That's good.
As in still?
Yeah.
As opposed to what?
Well, when I drive to work at school time,
Right.
there's just 80% more traffic on the road.
Right.
I didn't realise there actually were still buses.
Yeah, but all the kids around here that go to school have been delivered in helicopters and stuff.
Fair enough.
You know. Still horse and cart and swing.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm searching for, so I can't see. They look like they're about £1,000. Are they 899? Something like that. 999, 899. Some very good deals on various ones at Anderton's at the moment. Yeah, somewhere between 800 and 1,000. I don't know.
Great.
Is that
I'm
good?
sure. I mean, I'm sure they're great.
Is the suggestion that seems a lot for a Far Eastern guitar? The qualities. I mean, I've got an SE Silver Sky here. It's a brilliant guitar. It's nice and lightweight.
Yeah, that's an SE version, right? Yeah, that's a great guitar. We have had I think it'd be really interesting to find out what the equivalent of that guitar is in the Fender line. If there is such a thing, you know. Because I've had quite a few people ask about that.
It's so tough, isn't it? Because after years and years and years of making generalisations about guitars in guitar magazines, what Dan and I have both come to understand about guitars is they're just so different. They're so individual from one guitar to the next.
Yeah.
So the best thing you can be looking for in a mid-price guitar is consistency. Does it play great? Does it feel okay in your hands? The older I get, the more I'm kind of like, sound is just so subjective.
Sure.
It's ultimately subjective.
Yeah.
So to say that this sounds better than this is tough. I've just
Yeah, you say that,
oops.
and then that turns up.
Oops.
That is just the most astonishing guitar. It is on loan to us. We haven't ponied up any dough for it.
It is totally on loan from Gibson, with thanks to Gibson for loaning it. So it is a McCarthy. It is a 64 Gibson Custom 64 SG Standard in aged Pelham Blue, Tom Murphy light aged, or Murphy Lab light aged, and it's quite the astonishing thing. My point about subjectivity, though,
Yes.
I just spent the whole week, pretty much, replacing the pickups and wiring in this 335, which a lot of people will be like, Gadzooks, why are you doing that? It's such a fabulous sounding guitar. And it really is. And when you hear the audio and you see the vlog, there will be people that go, I preferred it before. Why did you bother? It sounds exactly the same.
Right.
And it sounds so much better, I can't put it into words.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature, isn't it? And back to the point about what do we think about the new PRS SE guitars, I think it just depends entirely on whether you get that thing in your hands and you go,
I like this.
this is for me.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Hanging out with Matt from Monty's a bit more has been revelatory, because even though we know it, you know, Matt's view on it is, forget about all that stuff. Does it play well? Is it set up right?
Yeah.
Do you connect with it? And I don't know. Easy to say, isn't it, when you've got all this finery, when you're sort of standing on top of the mountain going, doesn't matter. It could be
True.
It could be deemed as a little bit pious at that point, but the point is, you then realise that I love this guitar. I don't know how much they are now. I mean, it was 3,000 some odd quid when I got it,
Right.
plus the new pickups and everything. Loads and loads of money.
Yeah, yeah.
I am just as happy some days
With that.
playing this guitar,
Yeah.
which cost 295 quid on eBay. Nothing like a major third, eh? So, yeah, I don't know. I might be in a bit of a philosophical mood about it.
But it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, if I'd have spent a week playing the guitar, pushing myself last week instead of swearing at that,
The vlog is going to be
how much better would my life be?
hilarious.
And the answer is much better.
Yeah. Still, I think it sounds astonishing.
Schnizit says, how well does the SG stay in tune with the wiggle stick? I did a post on Instagram earlier and everyone is asking this. Now, I've never, ever had a Maestro vibrato before, and they don't have the world's best reputation.
Right.
This guitar has been in a van overnight. It's been -4, 5 here.
Right.
Came out, it's been in the studio for the first day today.
Every time. That's great.
Well, for light wiggles, it seems to stay in tune pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, it's just come out of the case after being in a van all night. That's pretty good.
We've had a play, and it's an astonishing thing.
Yeah. So we'll see. We've got a lot of learning to do about SG standards. Dan's obviously got his junior. Les Paul Junior 61, which he's very au fait with, but neither of us have owned SGs for much length of time.
And now that I've played through that today, I'm thinking we need to go back and redo every video we've ever done with that guitar. It's so good.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, massive tangent. Let's actually answer some super chats, shall we, Dan? Half an hour.
Yeah, half an hour in.
We've done one. Yeah.
Yay!
BV's like head in his hands. Legends, says Matt McGrath. Hello, Matt. I hope this is the appropriate place to ask. I've got a Petitjohn Roos, as well as another pedal I would love to send you for a bit. If interested, please let me know the details. If you are, all the best. Matt is very kind. Don't send us any pedals, because what will happen is they'll go into the
Cupboard of Doom,
and then it'll be a nightmare to get them back again. We are going to get some Petitjohn stuff on. I thought you're on the case, aren't you?
Yeah, So we've got a couple.
Oh, have we? Okay.
Yeah. So Paul Matulovich brought a couple over for us when he was here, and they're great. So yeah, we're getting some of those in. I've been talking to David Barber as well, from Barber Effects, and going to get a few of those in as well. So yeah, there's a handful of pedal manufacturers who we've been remiss not having on the show. They are two of them. We're going to rectify that and put things right as soon as possible.
I have a personal apology to make to James Moorer, who lent us this lovely Jetta Dumbley type overdrive.
Oh, lovely.
When he came in for an experience day, and that's what's happened. It's gone on the shelf. I've listened to it a couple of times, and he's going, can I have my pedal back?
There you go.
With apologies to James, we will get that back to you. Simon Weber, or Weber, or Weber. Hello, Simon. He says, how do I figure out what neck shape I like? I've just played a V-neck Strat, and I love the guitar, but it feels super unusual for me. Thank you.
I have never bonded with a V neck, but I know some people pick up and they go, oh, this is amazing. It all has to do with your hand, and everyone's hand is different, and it's going to sit in a very specific way, and also the way you play. You know, you just thumb over here. Are you that? Are you that? Are you a that? Which is why there are so many different shaped necks. The only way is to play a bunch of guitars.
Play a bunch of stuff. It's not helped by the fact that so many modern guitars are so unbelievably similar.
Yeah, right.
Like a lot of mid-price guitars that come out of World Guitar Factory or any of those other monster factories, the Court Factory. A lot of the shapes do become a bit generic, which is not a bad thing. It's just to say that finding something quite different can be a challenge, or it can be a massive advantage because they're all kind of similar. Neck shape, I never used to care. I never used to thought I really cared about it. And then I played a couple of guitars that was like, oh, I can't look back from this.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons Blue has sort of taken a back seat, because I then played some vintage Fender necks. Obviously, the 61 Strat has that, and my custom shop Strat has that, and it's like I really struggle to go back from this now. Similarly, the neck on that gold top Les Paul is just...
It's incredible.
And the 64 SG isn't that far off.
No, yeah, it's really similar.
Because they got a bit fatter in 64, apparently. Don't know, conjecture. So like Dan says, you just got to try a bunch of stuff. But if it's very, very pronounced, like a very strong V, you're going to take an instant like or dislike. And I know people who flipping love V-necks and don't want anything else. So tough, especially if you're in a guitar store environment where you need to be making that decision. Because, ideally you would spend some time with it and play it. The other answer, of course, is buy it and play it.
Yeah,
and
sure.
get used to it.
Yeah, because the neck is a part of the thing, but obviously there's a lot more. My 61 Junior has a very thin neck, but actually on that guitar it's perfect. My Lester has got a much thicker neck, but on that guitar I love it. So it's also a bit of a combination of things as well. And Nathan J says, "Hey Dan, John Frusciante uses gig rig equipment. Have you had any dealings with him direct or his tech guy? Any shot of getting him on the show?" Nathan, I have asked. So let's see. Because that would be unreal.
Yeah, that would be a
Wouldn't it be
mad day.
amazing?
Michael Whitney. Hello, Michael. Michael wants to know, he says, greetings from Texas, first of all. Greetings to Texas. Any upcoming fuzz-filled episodes?
Every episode is fuzz-filled.
Trying to think if we're doing anything specifically. Nothing in the pipeline. We have got David Ranger coming in tomorrow.
That's going to be amazing.
Which is going to be really, really cool. So we might talk a little bit about fuzz, I guess, but other stuff. What other fuzzy things do we have going on at the moment? Nothing imminent, I don't think, is there?
No, there's some more releases from people that we know. So we'll see. I think there's some more fundamental things about fuzz that I want to have a look at. I think there's some fundamental things with, again, it all comes down to it's part of the chain, right? The thing going into it and what it's plugged into. So I came in today and Mick's got his rig set up and playing around with it. It's just unbelievable. And then Mick kicks on the percolator and it's like...
The Latent Lemon Audio Hertz, which is a take on the harmonic percolator.
Yeah. And it's like, for a distortion pedal, it's the best sounding fuzz I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, there's this thing. It's like, they can all do that depending on what range they go to, you know? So, yeah, anyway.
It's so picky, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you get, actually, to be fair, Jack Duxbury came to see us last week. He just popped in. He was on his way through doing some stuff. And he brought SM Fuzz, Scott McKeon.
Oh, yeah.
I've found some NKT 275s, or they've got some NKT 275s. So they've dropped one of those in, so it could be good fun to revisit that.
Nice. Yeah, great.
I want to do more episodes with no pedals and loads of clean sounds, because those seem to be extremely popular in the YouTube watch list.
Yeah.
People seem to like clean sounds.
They do. And acoustic sounds as well.
We've put up a few shorts. We're sort of giving shorts a go, YouTube shorts. A lot of people are moaning about it, but we've kind of got to do it for various reasons. And, you know, in TPS style, we're trying to do it in a way that adds some value and is interesting and is, you know, you might be able to learn something or get inspired to do something. So that's what we're doing. And there was one we did where there was 12 guitars just played back to back, and the number of comments going, well, if you turn on a distortion pedal, all guitars sound the same. It's like,
Come on, sunshine.
I understand the sentiment of that comment, but it's just not true.
That's so untrue.
Like, there's still this prevailing idea that pedals are wrong and cheating.
I wish. Man.
Don't get us wrong. As we proved a couple of weeks ago, guitar, amp, cranked, it's totally glorious. But it's not an either or thing, is
No.
it? It's not it's a false dichotomy.
I have been listening to a little bit of like 70s metal. All that stuff is low gain.
Lower gain than you think.
But well, absolutely. Because what happens is the aggression is from when they dig in, it goes blah, as opposed to being high gain and everything is just you know. It's like, oh, that's where the aggression is That's, because when they hit it, the guitar just goes bang. And it's like, for that, if you really want to be aggressive, you have to have some dynamics there.
Yeah, you do. Otherwise, it's just
It's just
flatlining,
flat.
isn't it? Yeah.
And when I hear
Who have you been listening to then?
Tony Iommi was the big one, because I was listening to the P90s in his early SG.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other ones, like early Van Halen as well. And it's like, it's just remarkable the difference in getting that emotion across, because all that dynamic is there. And so what they're relying on is this incredible, it is technique, but it's all about, this is the way they've played forever, and they know it inside out. They don't have to think, they can just pour it out. And when they want to, make a note, just pierce through everything, it's all just an attitude. And then I go on YouTube and I hear like a modern shreddy type thing, and these are some amazing players. It's like, it's limited. It's so limited dynamically that's like, if I just got that, just dialed it back a little bit, just a hair, so that they get some. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think the guitars make a big difference too, don't they? Do you remember when Devin Townsend sent in one of his guitars?
Oh my God.
And we couldn't
plug it into anything.
We couldn't plug it into anything because it was like,
plug it into a clean amp, and it was just mayhem.
It was like overdriving the cable. It was so flipping powerful. So yeah, that's another thing I like about those vintagey rock sounds, is they are vintage guitars.
Yeah.
By today's standards.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah. Anyway,
Dan's moan's over.
Yes. Mr. 501MC. Mr. 501MC, thank you for your question, which has come through actually. BV, thanks for forwarding it by text. He says, firstly, Mr. 501MC says, firstly, I really appreciate what you guys do and the quality you do it at. Thank you. If I buy a true preamp pedal, if it's in bypass plugged in to the back of the amp, okay, I'm not fully understanding the question. I think what you're saying is, what are you saying? True preamp pedal plugged into the back of the amp. Maybe you mean
into the effects return.
Effects loop return.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're saying, if you then turn it off, if it's in bypass, I think this is what you're asking.
What happens to your tone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes away
completely,
because you've basically got your guitar trying to drive the power section, the effects loop return of the amp, and it doesn't have the requisite signal level, impedance matching, all of this stuff. So yes, you would need, if you're only using the preamp pedal, it would need to be on all the time. If you're saying, can you have it in there and turn it off and go in the front as well? So one option could be having the preamp pedal turned on into the effects loop return and then turned off into the front of the amp. You do need some semi-clever switching in order to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the Victory V4 series has it. You can do it within the pedal.
Yeah.
So
basically, there's a switchable loop in it so that you can have the amp's preamp in that loop. When you turn on the Victory V4, it bypasses the preamp and then takes the V4 preamp and goes straight into the effects return.
Yeah.
When you turn that off, you go back to the amp's preamp. So basically, it turns an amplifier with an effects loop into a 2-channel amplifier, and it's very clever.
Yes, because you need, when you use the preamp, you need to bypass the front end of the amp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, because you've got to go back and hit the phase inverter in the return.
Could you do it with an AB switch?
You can.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be a switching loop, because you've got to put the preamp in the loop
Yeah.
and then the output of that goes into the effects return.
But if you had a pedal board
Yep.
and you went in,
Yep.
A/B switch,
Yep.
route A off to your preamp,
Yep.
route B off to your overdrive pedal into the front of your amp. If you went B, that would cut off A.
But you've still got to. But yeah, you got to find a way to get it back into the effects return. So
Yeah, but you just go off through the preamp pedal into the effects return.
yeah, but if the preamp pedal is affected into the effects return, you got to find a way to disconnect that completely when you go into the front of the amplifier. Otherwise,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what has to happen is that needs to be in a loop and taken
Yes,
out,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is what the V4 does.
Yeah. Yeah. So apologies, Mr. 501MC, that was probably a confusing answer.
If you have,
But yeah, you can't do it without some extra switching stuff, basically.
you need 2 effects loops and a thing that you can switch between the different preamps and the loops.
You can do it with a true bypass loop switcher.
Exactly.
So you could do it with one of Dan's Quartermasters.
Yeah.
Or
anything
or
that does
G3.
that. Yeah.
James Blessed. Hello, James.
Hey,
nice to hear
James.
from you, buddy. He says, Mick, thank you for the inspiration. I just added a custom shop 63 Relic Strat in Candy Apple Red to my collection, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, wow.
Do you really? That's cool, man. I hope you are enjoying that.
Amazing.
Funnily enough, my friend Paul, who was my friend since I was a kid, bass player in our band for years, that's the guitar we went to Anderton's and bought.
Right.
It was basically that guitar's
Right. But yeah, okay.
sister brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. So cool. Nice one, James. Congrats. Marvin Box. Hello, Marvin. He says, hey, gents, it's my birthday and I'm finally approaching my dream rig. I'm upgrading to wet dry,
Nice.
but wet on the headphones and bedroom level. Thanks for everything I've learned from you and the chat. I love you all. We love you too, man. So does that mean you've got the amp in the room dry and you've got some headphones with the wet in? Is that what you're saying?
That would be well cool.
Wet-
I love that idea.
Wet dry. Oh, okay. Wet dry, wet on headphones and at bedroom level. Yeah. Nice.
Excellent.
It's so interesting that we bang on about wet dry all the time, and obviously we're hearing it at bonkers volume in here, and it sounds amazing. Its true benefit, I think, is at low volume
Yes.
because it takes a small sound and it just makes it much more enveloping.
Yeah. That you did a rig with 2 of the little katanas, the little ones,
Katana Minis.
katana minis, and it sounded flippin' ace. We were at the hotel room in Germany somewhere. Check this out. It's like that. Right. If you're at home and you want a bed, it's like it just sounds so massive. The tricky thing, right, is getting a sound that inspires you that's quiet, and it's such a great way to do it.
Okay, careful how I say this. I think in order to play your best, you need to play in the environment that you want to play in predominantly. So
Right.
I have a fear of playing at low volume because I know that there are things that I'll start to do at low volume that then will be a problem when I
That's
get
a
out
really good point.
and gig. So I'm trying to improve my slide playing at the moment. I've always wanted to play slide, and it's always eluded me because it's a different way of thinking.
Right.
I had the most dull moment about slide this week. I wish I had a different slide here so I could explain.
That's a great one.
No, but I could explain the dough moment.
Oh, okay, right.
So all the slides I had previously were big, right? And I'd stick them all the way down over my ring finger or my
Right.
pinky and wonder why it was hard to do this. And then I can't remember, I was watching maybe Instagram or something and I saw there's a great slide SG player on Instagram. I forget the guy's name. I think he might be the guy that Rhett Shull did a video on going the greatest guitar player you've never heard or something like that.
Right.
And I noticed, like, he's got the slide on his pinky down to the knuckle.
Right.
I'm like, oh, never tried that. Not only that, the slide is on there, right?
That's nice.
It won't come off. So I call up one of the many videos we've made with Joey Landreth, zoom in. How many hours have we hung out with Joey watching him play guitar?
And he does that as well.
Of course he does.
Oh,
This is
my
his slide.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
So-
Okay.
Look.
That's very
Right
cool.
above the knuckle. So what does that mean? It means that you can... Oh, yeah, see, now, right, that's what I'm trying to avoid doing.
Right.
That the whole time. But it means you can fret.
That's nice.
And do all
So
of
you
that.
can still play
But
with those three.
the long rambling point of this conversation is I play very, very kind of on the slant like that.
Right.
And when you try and add a slide to that, you're constantly doing this. So by a change of technique, and what I've noticed about all my favourite slide players, the guitar's up here and they play flat with their finger on the back of the neck. Watch Derek Trucks. And then you can use it as an extension of what you're doing rather than eventually galloping to the point. In order to do this, I practice at hella volume.
Okay.
Because if I do it quietly,
Yeah, of course.
when I get to hella volume,
It's not going to work.
and it is like listening to a kid learning how to play violin.
Right.
It's unbelievably painful, but I figure that's the only way I'm ever going to get any... See,
That sounds
Slide.
great. Yep.
so instead of going, which I want to do,
Yeah.
you've got to resist that temptation and go... Oh, I can't even do it. You've got to kind of maintain the position in order for it to...
Oh, okay. Right.
And if you watch this guy on Instagram, he's basically up here and going... and just sounding utterly amazing, because it's an extension of what he's doing, not a complete addition.
Right.
Anyway, all of those of you who play slide, that was probably very painful, but it's been the most amazing revelation, because I've made a musical noise with slide which I've never done before.
Far out.
You've got to forget what your little finger used to be there for. But if you come up by the 12th fret,
Yep.
put your thumb on the back of the neck,
Yep.
and then try and play something with these two fingers. Forget that one and don't go sideways. Stay straight.
Here.
Yeah. And you need this in. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's an extension rather than a completely separate thing.
Yep.
And then using these fingers to damp it behind.
Right. Okay. It's a lovely slide.
And that's been, bless him, Anderson's next day delivery. And bless him, that's been, anyway, my point is volume, wet, dry, lower volume. If that's where you play and that's your life, play at that volume. If you play out with bands and stuff, you really, really, really do have to get into a room and play loud.
Yep.
Or play at the volume that the band plays at, in order that all those inflections, all that noise, all that extraneous crap that happens
So important.
comes out at full volume. And as painful as it is, I feel my slide playing will improve most if I do that,
Yeah. Lovely.
because there's nowhere to hide. God, welcome to that pedal show. Whit Anderson.
Hey. Woo.
Hey Whit. He says, good day, gents. Looking for recommendations for a support group to help with the gas I'm going to experience when I hear that 64 S3 through the 2-rock that I have been coveting. Much love from Woo.
Well, when you find it, let us know, because I'll be joining straight away.
Regular viewers will know that I am chasing this elusive thing that we associate with the Dumble sound, which is plenty of overdrive, but clear and unbelievable dynamic, and just everything from the guitar, and yet the amps really hammering. And this is as close as I've ever got to it with the two rocks, and this, but also the Kingsley Juggler version 3.
I've not heard a better guitar sound.
Oh, come on.
No. Seriously, I've heard amazing guitar sounds. That's as good as any guitar sound that I've ever heard.
Oh,
It's astonishing.
it's a great...
It is astonishing.
If you like to play that way, and those are the sorts of things you like. Anyway, the point, Whit, is to say that it won't help. The next problem, of course, is recording it.
Yeah.
That's another thing we've learned about flipping YouTube Shorts. Everyone's listening on their phone.
Yeah.
So you stick up a guitar comparison, like they all sound the same. Well, of course they all sound the same. You're listening on your phone. So, what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to do here? Anyway. Yeah.
So I'm going to need. So I'm doing something slightly different with my rig now, which you'll hear this week. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to get another ISO cab. Actually, I might have to get another 2 ISO cabs, recording 3 lines at once. Because now I'm doing this wet, dry, wet thing. And it's like, now I've experienced that. I don't know how I go back from that.
You're doing wet, dry, wet. You crazy person.
I am out of my mind. Like vertical stereo.
Okay. What cab are you using?
I've got it's the 2 Lazy J's,
Yeah.
and then as doing the wet, and then either the matchless or the AC15 doing the dry. So at home I've got the 2 Lazy J's, but also the Fender Bass Breaker 15.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is just astonishing. You know, and it's really silly, but it's that flippin' delay that was on the show this week.
The Otto.
Oh my word! So I've got the Otto going stereo into the CXM,
Yeah.
and that's the stereo wet thing.
So it's not summing it to mono then?
No. So, right.
We've been through some confusion where we thought the CXM 78 summed to mono.
So what the CXM does is it sums the input. It keeps the through sound stereo, but then it sums the input, creates the stereo reverb from the sum sound. But then it mixes that on top of the stereo input.
Oh.
So you still get the stereo through, but it's not like there's 2 separate reverb pedals in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's taking the left and right, summing them, creating a stereo reverb on that, mixing that on top of the left and right going through.
Yeah.
So you always get your stereo.
Yeah, that's what I
thing.
thought, because I'd run 2 different delays.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and it's great. But man,
talking to each other now, not to you lot, sorry.
It's astonishing.
Sounds like a video, Dan.
Yeah, it's gonna be. It's gonna be. How sad is Dan? And then it's
How awesome is Dan, I think. P Design P. Hey, just wanted to share a joy of having my first gig in 2 years last Saturday. A few disaster moments, but a lot of fun overall. Mick, would you choose Gladio and Klon or Protein and Klon with a Strat and Les Paul? That's hard. That's really hard. Congrats on the gig.
Yeah, that's great, man.
There's nothing like it. I don't know, probably Gladio, I think, given that I'm very much in Dumbly mood at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd be super happy with either. But probably Gladio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's nice.
yeah. Because I do love the Protein, and we've used it a fair bit, and we make it sound quite nice. But I've never really been a what is it? It's an ODR1
And a blues breaker.
and a blues breaker.
Yeah.
I've never really been blues breakery. Don't get me wrong, it's a great sound. Loads of people make it sound great. I've always been much more TSE, and I kind of like the mid focus of the Gladio.
Yeah.
Not that it's the Gladio is not tube screamery, by the way. It's like supposed to be Dumbly, but there's a fair connection between those 2 mid ranges in my mind.
Indeed. Matt Cambridge says, Dan, try wet, wet, wet. Tone is all around you. That's very good. That's very good, Matt.
And so the feeling
I remember when I had a gig in Singapore in the 90s, and that song was massive, and had to play that song every night. And I now have a slight tick when I hear it. It just brings back all of that. But yeah, it was very good.
Yeah. Non-aligned says, creators with excellent long-form video skills need to figure out some way of feeding the shorts algorithm without polluting their brand and channel value. It sucks. Sorry, I work in marketing. Yeah. I don't know if that's part of another thread, but that's exactly right. I think it's totally doable. I think you can deliver useful, interesting, valuable short form content that's absolutely aligned with your
Yeah, totally.
long form stuff.
So we have you who are happy to sit down with us and chat, and we love you, and we're so grateful for you hanging out with us. And
We'd be dead without you. That's the truth.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and we appreciate every single one of you. I think the idea with the shorts is there's a lot of people who don't have the time to invest to sit down and sort of work out, none of this stuff is easy to explain. Because everything is affected by everything else. And that's part of the whole thing with all these conversations. It's like everything's a part of the chain. However, there are a few things that we can demonstrate quickly, and I think that's what, and without demolishing the brand values and stuff.
If you ever see us making videos that are concerned with the questions, how do I do it cheaper and
how do
easier?
how do I sound like Mr. Man?
Well,
then
I guess we touch on that from time to time, but how do I do it faster, cheaper and easier? That's a question that neither of us are really interested in.
Yeah.
Because we know that that's basically the creative triangle. You can have it fast, good or cheap. You can have two of those.
Right. Never all of them.
And you cannot have all three.
Yeah.
Let's say fast, best and cheap. That's how we work in the creative industries. So when someone says, can you do it for less money? You say, I can, but it's going to be 4 months.
Right.
And they say, can I have it great and cheap? You say, I can. It's going to take a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I have it fast and cheap? You can, but it won't be very good.
Okay, yeah, okay,
That's
right.
the creative triangle, and I think
great.
it relates perfectly to guitar tone as well. There's no magic bullet, unfortunately. So if we ever get into that turn off. Todd Roy says, are you still doing the something borrowed, something blue, something old, something new idea for a show? Yes, we are. Yes, we absolutely are.
Okay. Just to think of the thumbnail.
Yeah. Not that kind of blue. Not that kind of blue. Yeah, sorry, just to finish off on the shorts thing. What we assume is that with TikTok existing and with, Instagram has moved very much to Reels. If you scroll Instagram without knowing it, you're then in Reels world, and you're scrolling and you're scrolling.
Reels
and you're scrolling.
world. Reels world.
Party time.
In 1
Excellent.
minute. Real world.
And I think YouTube are looking at that going, wow, we don't have any of that market. Because what YouTube wants is for you to stay in YouTube.
Even though they own Instagram.
Part of the... Facebook owns Instagram, doesn't it?
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, Facebook owns everything.
Part of the YouTube algorithm, i.e. the way the algorithm works is the more you get seen and watched and liked, the longer people stay on your videos, the longer people click off your videos and go to other videos on YouTube, etc., etc., etc. It's a complex algorithm that changes all the time, but the more you tickle the algorithm under the chin, the more YouTube pushes your videos. So if you don't tickle the algorithm, you cycle down and down and down and disappear. And we can think of some of our friends who are in that. If you tickle the algorithm and they like you, you go up and up and up and up and up, and it's a vortex of up.
Yeah.
So you kind of do, unfortunately, have to do some things to satisfy what YouTube wants. And there are people on YouTube who are in it for the numbers, right? They're in it purely for the numbers and chasing the numbers. We said right from day one that was never really our game. Our game was to have a more selective audience, to have a family like you guys who watch this, who are invested in it, who actually genuinely get something useful out of it. So it is a bit of a kicker to have to get into that scroll market. However, we do feel there's something useful you can do in that scroll market. Whether we're going to get any pushed out among some attractive young person wearing not very many clothes, somebody doing an amazing basketball hoop from 50 yards.
Whilst playing Eruption.
Car crash videos seem to do very well. People jumping off of mountains.
People jumping into lakes where there are sharks, or
that sort of stuff. Whether
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can exist in that world remains to be seen. So anyway, sorry. I'm getting it out because it feels like catharsis to get it out because we've gone around it.
Right.
And you don't want to be navel gazing about this stuff too much. You just got to do it and see if it works.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, fine, go and do something else.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's all fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's not flipping. There are things going on in the world at the moment that are really not fun. Thankfully, we don't have to do any of those. Oh, God, it's so boring. Sorry. Ollie Harris says, Dan, will you accept a trade for red for a Line 6 Spider 4x12?
It's a hard pass from me, Ollie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wouldn't trade this guitar for any other guitar.
Yeah.
This, it could be a Squire. It doesn't really matter. It's just the miles I've done with this guitar. It just means so much to me.
It's about the road, man.
Yeah.
You are attached to that guitar.
I'm very attached to it. I love it. I still love it. Every time I pick it up, I still go, with all my other guitars, every time I pick it up, I still go, it's a great telly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Martin Lunder says, hi, Mick. Hi, guys. Mick, a question for you. I just became a proud owner of a 2-Rock Classic reverb signature. I was wondering, how do you use the FET part? I don't really, Martin. It is said that Dumble put the FET on his amps for acoustic guitars.
Yeah.
In the early days of electrified acoustic guitars. 2-Rock will have certainly tweaked it from then. But I guess if you were going to use it, what would be useful? In a way, it's a bit like having a bit more of a buffer there so you can get more sparkle on your top end. Obviously, it's not going to drive any capacitance between your guitar and the amp, but it does bring that sort of effect. You can crank it and use it as a boost into the amp so you can get more overdrive. I don't really use it on either of them.
Right.
It's not something that I necessarily love, but it can be a boost.
Cool.
If you want to use it that way. Right, non-aligned. What's the musical or guitar best compliment you've ever gotten?
Oh, wow. I had a friend who I haven't heard from in ages. And he called me one day after one of the videos, said, hey man, I just wanted to tell you that you're playing and that was unreal.
Awesome.
And it affected him enough that he wanted to reach out and call me. So it was like, wow. That was really, really touching.
I've had it from a few people. I'm trying to think of somebody noteworthy who will have said it. Maybe 3 or 4 people have said it. And the compliment is, you sound like you.
Oh, that's nice.
And I think that's about as good as it could ever get, because we all get so caught up in chasing. I mean, don't talk about it with gear. The 335 vlog is so hilarious. It's painful to watch. So we're all caught up with chasing all the time, and it's boring to chase all the time. Sometimes you just got to be what you are, and to be free enough to sound like yourself and be confident enough to sound like yourself in those moments where it can happen. That's it. That's the best place I think you can be.
Yeah.
And then for somebody to notice that is very nice.
Lovely.
But of course we shouldn't get caught up on this wanting people to like us and looking for the compliments. So
yeah,
we say thank you and we move on, hopefully.
I told someone this a while ago. Like, I've been playing for a long time, and I'm just trying to make sure that I don't get this wrong. Every band I've ever been in, I've started. Or like, no one's ever called me and says, hey man, you're amazing, do you want to come and join this band? Like, ever. You know what I mean? But it's like, so I haven't been, what am I trying to say? The music that I've done is because I'm like, this is really fun. I want to do it some more. I'm going to find some people that want to do it.
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
You know?
It's, yeah. God, just to play and be free of all the marquee muck.
So I saw Doug on Friday. Doug's the drummer from TPS band. I've been playing with Doug for 20 years. And he came over, and he'd had a bit of a not awesome week. And he came over, and we were just like, you remember all these wedding gigs we used to do, and all these pubs and stuff with, hours drive and stuff, and playing was always fun. We always loved the playing. It was the driving and the setting up and the waiting around and the dealing with idiots. That stuff is challenging, but the playing is always, and it made it all worth it.
Yeah.
And it's still, it's great. It's really great.
Harrison. Hello, Harrison. Harrison Vaughan.
Hey, Harrison.
He says, hi, chaps. I really like the mid-pull on the Maiden as a solo boost. He's talking about the Kingsley Maiden preamp pedal. What pedals can I use to do the same job? TS Clon or an EQ of some sort? Thanks.
So what that pull does is it takes the tone stack out of the pedal. So the tone stack is basically a reductive EQ. You've got the signal goes in, gets amplified by the preamp valve, and then it goes through basically tone notch filters that you frequencies centered around a spot, and then as you turn those EQ sections down, it's bringing down these notches in your signal. When you pull that mid boost out, it just takes that out of the circuit, so you're going straight through. The challenging thing is why that works so well. So something like the Kingsley Juggler has got that feature in it as well, and it's one of the things in the Two Rock has a tone bypass, and it's an amazing thing, and it's really hard once that's been taken away. Once you're going through an overdrive pedal that's got a tone stack in it and you've already taken away those frequencies, it's hard to add them back by boosting those frequencies with an EQ. It's sort of it's a different thing.
Slight clarification, Daniel.
Okay.
There's a Maiden V1 and a V2.
Okay.
V1, it was a mid boost.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
And the V2 is a bypass.
And you needed a separate machine
to do the bypass. There it is. Okay.
To do the EQ bypass. What Simon's done in V2 is given you all of it
in one thing.
In one. So if you've got a V1, Harrison, and you're talking about that middle, that is a boost.
Right.
It is a mid boost. Simon will probably be able to tell you what the frequency is and what the kind of Q on it is, in which case you could do it with an EQ pedal, or you could approximate it with a different type of overdrive pedal.
Yeah. You'll have to ask Simon where that mid boost is in the circuit, because you either put where you put the EQ before or after. That's
the other thing.
Yeah.
Where does it come? Does it come pre or post overdrive?
Mm.
So you could experiment and work it out for yourself by getting an EQ pedal, trying it before and after, and seeing if you can match
that frequency and
that
the Q.
frequency. Yeah, there or thereabouts. I don't actually know what it is, but I'm with you. I like it. I actually have it pulled all the time, because as a Strat user, to have it. Interestingly enough, as we leap forward to the Juggler version 3, it's actually on a foot switch, and you can do what Dan was just talking about on the same switch. So I have that as my extra. But yeah, I would, if you've got access to an EQ pedal, see if you can work it out. See if you can work out where it is. I mean, what's it going to be? One would assume it's going to be somewhere between 700
and a K
and one
1.1.
1K, 1.2, something like that. And what pedal did we have on recently? The Origin MEQ driver
that had the different center points for the EQ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be worth a look. We really like that.
That's
It was in an
amazing.
NPD on Friday.
Yeah, it was really, really great.
And seeing as we're talking about it, the Klon has a noticeable kick at 1 kilohertz, but it also has some high upper end as well. Tube Screamer tends to be around 700-ish. Between 5 and 800 anyway, depending on the TS. And it makes a huge difference. Even doesn't sound like much, but it makes a huge difference depending on what the Q is and how much it's boosted. These are all good fun experiments with EQ pedals.
Yeah. Another really important thing to remember about, especially the Klon and the Tube Screamer, is that there's a bottom end frequencies. I think it's like up to 100 hertz. I'm not exactly sure what it is in the Tube Screamer, but they are never affected by the distortion circuit. And that makes a massive difference with that sort of playing style, that when you're digging in, the bottom end is always clear. Because if you're distorting that bottom end frequency, it's one of the big things about fuzz sounds is how much of that the bottom end goes into being distorted.
Yeah.
But I think in the Klon it's like 100 hertz. The bottom end frequency is mixed in. It's never touched by the distortion circuit. So even with that gain control that mixes between the diodes and the clean circuit, the bottom end is never, no matter if you have the gain all the way up, the bottom end is always clean.
That's why some people say they don't like Tube Screamers, because it sounds like the distortion's sitting on top of something. Well, it kind of is.
Yeah. There you go.
That's when having it going into a cranked amp that is distorting a bit, it starts to make more sense, because you are getting more distortion from the amp itself. Blah, blah, blah. Rabbit hole. Rabbit hole, rabbit hole. Good luck, Harrison. Michael Corrigan. Hello, Michael. If you could only have one 212 cab to serve all of your amps, what 2 speakers would it be loaded with? And obviously, would you choose the same speaker or something different, says Michael Corrigan.
What's in my Marshall 2x12?
G12Hs, I think.
It would be that cab and those speakers. I can put anything into that cabinet. It's like your Hughes and Kettner 2x12. Anything into that sounds magic. Anything into my Marshall 2x12 just sounds amazing. My Lazy J into that speaker, right into that cabinet, far out, man. It's incredible.
Nice. So Dan has a Marshall 212, a vertical 212, which is the 2061X cab.
How do you remember that?
I don't know. There have been different versions of it down the years. Some have a vertical cutout in the back and some are fully closed, and I don't know why that is, but anyway, there are different versions. Dan's, I think, has G12H speakers, so the Celestians with the bigger magnet and the gold sticker on the back. I think it says 70th anniversary, that's speaker.
It?
Yeah, and that's the same. Your Matchless cab's got a greenback and one of those in. It's a lovely speaker.
I love that speaker.
I'm a big fan of it personally. I tend to like more powerful amps and more headroom, and as such I tend to like speakers that colour less, or at least have a different colour than something like a greenback. If you're talking about a Marshall or a Vox, then it just has to be a greenback or a blue. It just the amps aren't right without those speakers.
Yeah.
So our 412 we've got the 1960AX, which has got 4 greenbacks in it. And I just think it's just a magic sounding cab, and it's the only cab that really suits that.
Yeah.
The Marshall, when it's cranked. So then what you're saying is, what you then need to sort of decide where you're going to compromise and where you're not going to compromise. And I would think something like Celestion Alnico Gold's, the 50 watt, is going to work with so many amps. They are fabulous sounding speakers. They've got enough headroom to deal with the higher power amps, but they've got that sort of Alnico-y fast thing that Alnico speakers have, which you really like.
Right.
But yeah, as Dan said, the Hughes and Kettner with 2 greenbacks sounds surprisingly amazing.
Amazing.
I don't think you could go that far wrong with a vintage 30 212.
Yeah.
They sound pretty good on the end of most amps.
Yeah.
But I'd unfortunately go with my two EVs.
There's nothing unfortunate about it.
'Cause-
It's astonishing.
You know, I'm not sure an AC15 is going to sound great into them, or a small amp wouldn't sound great into them, but any Fender Two Rocks, the power amp, I just love EVs. I love them. So yeah, that's what it would be for me. Followed pretty closely by some Celestinonico Golds, I think.
All right.
Yeah. It's so difficult. It's too difficult a question. It's too difficult. And then could you mix something? So you could put like a gold and a greenback, or a gold and something else.
Yeah. That can work great.
Can work great, especially if you need to mic one or the other.
Yeah, right.
And then you've got two very distinct options. But yeah, that's tough.
Yeah,
That's
it's
tough.
tricky.
That's tough. That is tough. Andrew Jones. Hello, Andrew. I'm getting into fuzz. I've
Good
got
man.
a 73 Ram's Head muff. Yes, you have.
Yeah, I'm getting. Let's start with that, shall we?
Yeah, but they don't clean up well. Any recommendations for a fuzz that cleans up? What
So-
about a Benson Germanium, Silktone, etc.? Thank you.
Reasons that your fuzz won't clean up. If your fuzz is based on a high impedance circuit, like a Big Muff, those sorts of things, more like a more traditional, so not traditional, like a Boss style, input buffer, blah, 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 then the cleanup on those things is different. And it depends heavily on the guitar that you're using as well. But let's say that you've got a single coil guitar, and we know that these things clean up beautifully in the gain stages. If you're going into a Big Muff, it's trickier to get that to clean up than, say, going into a germanium transistor that is heavily dependent on the relationship between the inductance and stuff, the coils going into the transistor. What happens is there's this very dynamic relationship between the guitar, the pickups, and that input stage. And as you dial this back, it really quickly cleans up. And Mick's done a couple of vlogs on, the best clean sound. His fuzz face into the Marshall cranked, and the clean sound dialing that volume back is beautiful. It's all based around that relationship with that germanium transistor. Silicons, which have a high input impedance, a lot of the times don't clean up as well. And when you get to muffs and that, you end up just having a bit less fuzz as you dial the volume back. So it can be tricky. And then you get to humbucker guitars, and it's a whole different thing again.
Yeah, different game.
So
I would. So fuzzes that we know clean up well. Traditional fuzz face,
yeah,
silicon or germanium. If it's traditional, fuzz face type thing, it will clean up well. Certainly off a single coil guitar. Now, all bets are off if you try and shove a 18K humbucker in there, or worse still, an active guitar. That won't work. So it needs to be a traditional passive guitar, preferably with single coils. That will help. Humbuckers too. I mean, Les Paul 335 cleans up really nice into a fuzz face.
right.
Now, which is it? This you can't get anymore.
Is it the Boneyard?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where
that
you can
one.
switch between 2 and 3 transistors.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, Thorpe did a tone bender type with a switch on it, which meant you could go between 2 and 3 transistors. So you could get your full-on big fuzz 3 transistor sound, or you could switch back to 2 transistors in the same pedal. Thorpe won't be the only because the Boneyard, unfortunately, I don't think is available. You might be able to pick one up used or whatever. There will be others out there that are either fuzz face types. No, it won't be a fuzz face types. There will be a tone bender type. Maybe even muff variants. I don't know.
See, the two transistor tone bender is so close to a fuzz face,
And it cleans up.
and it cleans up.
Yeah.
And it's the third transistor basically is an input buffer at the right at the input of the tone bender, and it's designed in ways that, I mean, it's one of the reasons it works so beautifully with humbuckers
Yeah.
is because of that that transistor at the input.
Yeah.
But if you take that out, basically you get what's called a tone bender Mark 1.5, which is for all intents and purpose a
fuzz
fuzz face
face.
circuit.
It begat the fuzz face, didn't it?
It did. This was pre fuzz face. Absolutely. Yeah.
The other thing is to avert your gaze ever so slightly left from fuzz and look at something like a Hudson broadcast,
Yeah. They're fantastic.
because that will get really fuzzy. If you want it to get fuzzy, it'll get fuzzy and it cleans up real nice.
Yeah.
So it's not marketed as a fuzz. It's sold as a overdrivey preampy type pedal, but it does fantastic fuzz,
Yeah.
and that will get the job done.
And there are some valve fuzzes out there that clean up beautifully as well. Yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck, mate. It's
luck.
a rabbit hole, but take a packed lunch. It's a fun trip.
Yeah. The Benson Germanium, you said. What about the Benson Germanium? Yes,
Yeah.
that cleans up real nice.
Beautifully.
Yeah.
Beautifully.
Yeah. WCart 2. Jerome Turner. Hello from the aforementioned San Luis Obispo, the home of Ernie Ball Music Man.
Oh, lovely.
I purchased an automaton from that pedal shop.
In the US.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thatpedalshop.com. Thank you for doing that. And like you, I don't know where to put it in my signal path. What are your current thoughts as a preamp or a distortion pedal?
I have it. It's sort of in the center of my gain stages. I would have a treble booster in front and maybe an extra boosty stage after it. I really love the fuzz in that, and I would use that a lot. But I also loved, some of the show that we did on it, and we tried to get a bunch of classic overdrive pedal sounds from it, which, man, it did such a great job. And then being able to take those sounds and boost it with the gain stage post or treble booster into those, choice.
Yeah. I treat it very much as an overdrive pedal, exactly what Dan just said. So if you need a pre-boost, then that comes before, and a post, like solo-y, lifty, clonny thing after. But yeah, very much as a overdrive pedal for me. I guess the question then comes is, do you have any tweakier analog things on your board, such as analog delay, maybe some older choruses and flanges and stuff. Sometimes they don't like being hit with that much mumbo. Dan likes flanger and chorus before overdrive anyway, so that problem is out. And if you like chorus in the way I like it, which is sort of more 80s digital type chorus, that works fine, usually works fine, because it will be a more modern digital iteration of it, which will take endless amounts of mashing in the front, as it were. But certain analog delays, if you really hammer it, are going to squash up, and you might like that or you might not like that. But if your board consists of automaton, a couple of other overdrives, and then more modern digital delays and reverbs, then I wouldn't have any worry about that whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a good point, because the output from that thing can be massive.
Yeah.
And if you like that big output into the front of your amplifier, You just need to make sure that anything you've got going after that has got enough headroom to take the signal level.
Yeah.
That's it.
It is just about the only negative thing we could say about the automaton is it's so crazy good. You do want to split it and have the fuzz first and sometimes the boost last.
Yeah.
Etc. Now, of course, if you had a programmable loop switcher, you can do all of that, but that's a whole other game.
Indeed.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. It depends how you use it. If you use it for basic overdrive and fuzz sounds, treat it as an overdrive and fuzz pedal.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Justin Baylog. Hello, Justin.
G'day,
nice
mate.
to hear from you. He says, howdy. There would only be a select few that would watch. Welcome to that pedal show. But I'd love to see a show that compares your electric guitars without amps.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Just the guitar. It would help in understanding how they sound amped. Well, Justin, that would be just about the most controversial video we could make, because obviously there's a huge swathe of people who think that the guitar itself makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. It's only the pickup that makes the sound. I just don't even want to get into it because we clearly don't think that, but there are lots of people who really do believe that. So yeah, kind of interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, we should experiment and see if it would work.
Yeah, we could do it in shorts. Just do it
Yeah,
rang, rang.
it is so interesting because
Here's a quick example of that, right? So this guitar. And it's great and it's resonant and lovely. This thing is just so loud.
I can see from the meters, it red was loud. I promise you, Dan wasn't hitting the guitar any harder. So it's louder acoustically, right, by some margin. I can see that from the meters. By the time it gets compressed and over YouTube, you might not perceive that to the same level. When we did the 12 guitars back to back, it was easily the loudest guitar of the 12
wow.
plugged
There you
in.
go. Okay.
So there you go. It's the loudest acoustically and it's the loudest electrically.
Isn't that funny?
Go figure.
Super low output P90.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I have a completely non-scientifically proven theory on that. Bearing in mind, we've spoken about this before where, you talk about what does wood add to a tone.
Right.
Some people talk about what wood adds to a tone. There's a big argument, there's a big body of thinking that would suggest that wood doesn't add to the tone, it takes away. It's subtractive. What is that? Wood-wise.
Oh, it's just it's nothing.
It's a very small bit of mahogany,
Yeah.
right? What is a Les Paul?
Very large bit of mahogany.
Massive bit of mahogany with a big bit of maple.
Yeah, right. Okay.
What? And again, this is purely conjecture. What is all of that? Two different bits of wood resonating differently together. Is it going to be more subtractive or less subtractive
Yeah.
than a single bit of
Yeah.
thin mahogany?
With nothing routed apart from here. There's no neck route here.
I say again, it's conjecture.
Yeah,
Please
yeah.
don't beat me up for it. It's purely conjecture. Hands up, who cares? That guitar is bonkers.
It's I just love it so much.
I don't want to embarrass it, but this too is a slab of mahogany, but it's got more stuff on it. Oh god.
So no, you.
It's probably this one.
I'm sure it's this one.
Did you hear about the two guys who tried to tune two SGs?
Live on YouTube. Pretty good. Just doesn't have the bottom end. You play that one. I've heard acoustic guitars that are quieter than that thing. It's nuts.
It is utterly insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't suck, does it?
No.
Does that suck? How much does that suck?
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks for the thought-provoking question.
Yeah,
Justin.
really good. Really good.
We like it. We like it. Douglas Broberg. Hello, Douglas. Oh, we have missed WCART 2. WCART 2, looking for a Plexi Super Lead option. Yes, you are. For clean tones. I wanted to get your thoughts on a Kingsley Constable into a Fryette power station versus something like the PRS HDRX20. How much does the Plexi power section affect cleaner tones?
So the power section is a massive part of cleaner tones. So if you look at the power section in a high watt, it is so open. It's more like a PA or hi-fi section. It's so open. But you get to the point where you turn up and it's it distorts. But when that thing's distorting, man alive, it's so loud. But the clean tones in it are so gorgeous. There are some amplifiers that limit so early on that they just don't have. I mean, you can clean up with your volume control, like we talked about before. That will give you some great clean tones. But having a big power section so that it can reproduce that bottom end and like the full frequency, so it can reproduce that properly, you've got to have enough power there to be able to do it. It's a huge thing. So again, talk about
position of the phase inverter is really important on a Plexi type sound as well.
Yeah.
Or the master volume in
relation to that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I don't know how that is in the but I would say if volume is an issue, you'd be probably better off with the Constable and the power station.
What that gives you,
because you can crank it and use the attenuator.
Yeah.
Whereas the HDRX20 is a really, really loud amp. It sounds wonderful. I think you're going to get more versatility, tone tweaking. If volume is an issue, I think the power station and the Constable is a far better option personally.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
But if you can crank the amp and you don't want the complication and you just want to plug in and turn it up, then the HDRX20. But it's loud. It's really loud. It might only say 20 watts on it, but this is not a Line 6 Spider 5. It is loud. It is loud enough to compete with a drummer and a bass player.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, the other thing about the Constable power station route is that you can then add to that and turn that into quite the rig, actually.
Yeah. The
different
power station
cabs,
is so good.
etc. Not forgetting, of course, the power station is the 6L6 power section, so you're not getting that EL34 the way the Marshall thing is configured.
Yeah.
Some of that, I guess, you can get from the Constable, but
What a friend of mine that's got the Constable, what he does, because it's the Marshall preamp, right? But he wanted to use it, get those sounds, from the pedal. So he got Simon to make him a phase inverter pedal, so he can slam the Constable in and then turn the phase inverter down post after that.
Okay.
He gets the output from like a pedal output.
Wow.
But he still gets that the phase inverter distortion. Unreal.
Nice. Mark Lambrecht, I'm going to try and answer this quickly, Mark. He says, I don't understand the wood conversation. A pickup only senses the metal, the strings are metal. Wood has no magnetic properties. I understand that a well-built guitar can give more sustain to the notes. Yeah, okay. Here's how it works for me, right? I think you're right to a point where if there is no interaction between the guitar and the amplifier, so if you've got the amplifier off in a different room and you mic it up and you play a clean sound and that's it, then I do think you're hearing, well, let's say that is one kind of relationship. Here's what happens, right? When you have a speaker there and a guitar here, if Dan plays a note with that guitar and it comes out the speaker and it starts to resonate and it starts to do things physically with this guitar, which causes this string to vibrate in a different way. If you played exactly the same note with exactly the same pickups, but you attach them to this guitar, what happens is now fundamentally different. So it might be that we're holding this note here. Once that starts happening in a resonant feedback loop of an acoustic environment, the harmonics generated by that acoustic resonance and feedback are entirely different here than they are there. And that might manifest in all kinds of things. It might manifest in a different way the note sustains. It might manifest in the way the note feedbacks. And that's not just about high gain, because we consider harmonic feedback as being about distortion and then going into the second, third, whatever order harmonics in order to create that, screaming feedback sound. It happens with clean sounds.
Yeah.
The harmonic interaction of the guitar amp and the guitar happens, and what the physical nature of this thing determines how that harmonic relationship occurs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Can I measure it? Can I put it on an oscilloscope? Don't know. I'm not that interested in that conversation. What I am interested in is when I play this note on this guitar with these pickups here, there is a fundamentally different relationship than there is with playing this note on this guitar with these pickups, which are basically the same.
Yeah.
So maybe you're absolutely right in that the fundamental created going out isn't that different. I'm fully on board with that. Isn't that different?
Right.
It is different, but it's not that different. Some people believe it's not different at all. What then happens is that physical interaction of a space.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way this is working with that acoustically. To me, that's why playing loud is fundamentally different than playing quietly.
Yes.
Why it's got to be loud, and why the system has to have enough harmonic interest and dynamic interest. And certainly speaking personally, all of my favourite guitar tones ever have been created that way.
Yep.
So that's how I see it.
Yeah, beautiful. Well said. Very good.
That's what we miss about volume.
Yeah.
It's about harmonics. Well, it's about the manifestation of the whole sound is what it's about.
Yeah. I think that there's a part of that conversation that if you understand how to get that working and get that right, you don't get told to turn down because it sounds so flipping good. But the issue isn't volume. The issue is crap guitar sounds. You know what I mean? If you go to any of these guys who are amazing, they spend a lot of time in the venue with making sure the amps are set up and at the right level. Like, playing with Andy Timmons, he'd get everything. It was really particular about making sure that the volume was at a level where he would get that harmonic feedback and he was heard. Not once did anyone come up and say, "Oh, Andy's too loud."
No, not even a little bit.
No. And he was loud, but it was like, it was perfect. And that's, if he'd gone on stage at volume and everything was, he didn't have that, and he was just, the frequencies are all wrong and it was scratchy and he was just hammering away in the guitar with no dynamics, then it'd be a different thing. But because he's such a dynamic player, and all the great guitar players are dynamic players, and they use that as a part of that sound.
Yep, absolutely. And a lot of people are getting annoyed about the phrase tone wood. Take the word tone wood and throw it out the window.
Yeah.
It's just wood. It's just wood. And this bit of mahogany is not the same as the next bit of mahogany.
Indeed.
Yeah, you play for a long time, you play loud for a long time, you realise that different guitars sound fundamentally different. SG, 335, Les Paul, Explorer. What am I missing? 175, Flying V. Did I say Flying V? Same pickups and controls in all of them.
Yeah, right.
Do those guitars sound the same?
Yeah.
I really don't think they do.
No, they really don't.
Anyway, there we are. Douglas Broberg. Hi, Douglas. Finally, we get to you. He says, "Oi,
Oi!
He says, have you seen the new Catlin bred Formula 51 that's based on Tweed Champs? Would love to see a video on Tweed style drives, maybe compared with the Lazy J."
Funny you should say that. I hooked up with Jesse from Lazy J last week. Jesse's coming on the show, and we're going to do a proper Tweed show with some proper old Tweed lovelies. Jesse is currently gathering them, calling them to him, his Tweed amp siren song, and then he shall be, once they are gathered up, he shall come on.
That'll be a nice day.
That'd
Out
be
there, we've got, Dan, we have still got, I'm sorry we haven't used it yet, a 1953 Fender Pro.
Yeah, I played it on once that day it was here. It's just magical.
It's insane how good it sounds. And good being, a subjective thing. But
Sure.
it's just so right.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So Tweed tones, yes, we'll get into that. Jacob Pozzacki says, "Howdy. Curious how you're getting on with the TS1 effects loop, 2-Rock TS1 effects loop. In the Spring Reverb show, you mentioned short cable runs. I wonder about placing the CXM atop the amp in the loop and using WIDI." Nick does WIDI? One thing I discovered after we did that video was not only does it have a buffer, it also has a pull bright.
Oh.
On both send and return.
Oh, interesting.
Well, mine does anyway.
Right.
I think they've changed in various iterations of it over the years. So you can tune it in much more if you want to do that.
Right.
If you're committed to using the loop, I think what you do is set it up so you like it the best.
Yeah.
And then don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Our issue was switching the loop in and out,
Yeah.
where it's sometimes buffered and it's sometimes not buffered. I've sort of settled on using it with the Free the Tone Flight Time and probably no reverb.
Right. That's interesting.
But if I do use a reverb, actually the Anna Sounds does a good job.
Yeah.
And the light pedal does a good job.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what I've got on there at the moment. In fact, it's here. I can't even remember, Dan. This will be like a discovery.
Is that the loop board?
This is what I had in it when I was using it the other day.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this worked great.
Wow. Someone in the chats was saying, "What do we think of Crazy Tube Circuits?"
We think
Great.
things.
They are wonderful people who make some really fantastic pedals, and that's a killer.
Funnily enough, listening back to the Spring Reverb show,
Yeah.
that was I liked that as much as I liked any of the others.
Nice.
So that's what's on there. The other thing is the form factor of it,
Yeah, it's so nice.
and it's got tremolo. So, and that works great. But, yeah, it works great. And then just tweak it up so you're happy, and then stop worrying about it and tweak elsewhere. I think.
Yeah.
Which is easy to say. Congrats if you have one of those, by the way.
It's great.
It's just a wonderful thing.
Killer.
Happy New Year, gents, says Bobbler42. Nice to hear
Cheers,
from
mate.
you, Bobbler. Santa hath graciously delivered a Dreadbox Hypnosis. Given it's a line-level studio effects type unit thingy, how can it best be used and what are the pitfalls. Right, Dreadbox Hypnosis. Which one is that? Oh my god. It's a multi-effect. Synths, guitar, mics.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god, that looks amazing. 3-spring reverb, proper spring reverb.
Oh, dear.
Pitch modulation, stereo analog bucket brigade chorus flanger, stereo digital delay with 3 delay types. I tell you what, mixing analog and digital like that is not easy.
Oh, man. Don't do this to
That
me.
looks flipping great. Are you sure it's only line level? I mean, it's obviously for synthesizer.
Okay, I've got a picture for the back.
Yeah, don't know.
So all their stuff, you know, the stuff that we've used in the show, works for synthesizer. There's no reason that this wouldn't work on guitar. And just because I'm a nice person and I want to be helpful, I'm going to grab one and just see if it works. Honestly, that looks amazing.
Have we got one? Because
No.
they did send us a load of stuff.
Yeah, but those small boxes, a big box thing.
Connections, number 6.
Oh, that looks fantastic.
That really does look amazing. Okay, Bobler, watch this space. We're totally getting into that. If it is only line level, then you need something to bring it up to line level.
Well, you've got an input gain level. It's got it on there. I'm sure that will work like the rest of their line do. I'm sure that will work fantastic on guitar. Oh, come on. That is just awesome. I need to check out, where was the picture of the back? I wonder.
While he's looking at that, we'll move on to G Barge.
Oh, g'day, G.
It's nearly Meat Feast o'clock, Dan.
Oh, come on.
Actually,
I'm
might be Ty this evening.
okay.
Go on, what were you saying?
Nothing.
Go on.
No, I'm
go
very
on.
happy.
We can divert.
No, Ty's good.
Okay.
The kangaroo down sport.
It sounded like you were about to say something else. Like you
No,
had
no,
another idea.
no. Ty's great. I'm being careful,
Okay.
and Ty works.
Right.
Weeping Tiger.
Weeping Tiger it is.
Oh my goodness.
It is nice, actually, the Weeping Tiger.
It's basically steak, cut the bits. It's
No
awesome.
tiger was harmed in the making of
The
this
Weeping
Weeping
Tiger.
Tiger.
It's just a bit sad.
Sadly, a cow was. G Barge. Distilled tones. Distilled tones. Any thoughts on acoustic pedals, especially the Bag's Para Acoustic DI as a notch filter? But I still fight feedback sometimes. Do you have a problematic note for feedback? Also, great new pedal day on Friday.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, G.
I think what we need to do is another acoustic show. A, it's been ages. B, it's been a long time. C, we haven't done it for a while.
Yes. And D, it's been a long time. Yeah, no, we should. Do you have a problematic note? Often, yes. If your proximity to the amp and your standard sort of setup is the same, then yeah, you may well find that the same note sets it off. That's what notch filters are. You probably know that. So if it is, a particular note, then you can find that on the notch filter and you can notch it out. And I think the acoustic Para DI might do that automatically. If you've got loads of them, I guess it might get confused. Just guessing. A sound hole bung can work, actually. It's very analog. I don't know if you've seen these things. Dead air, Dan, dead air.
No dead air. Sorry, I am captivated by this hypnosis thing. Yeah, okay. That's really cool. Yeah, so what Mick's going to show you is a little bit of like top end technology. Look at that. It's basically
Still got a tagger on.
Still got an old tagger on it.
If you had a guitar with a hole in it, you can stick it in the hole, and you may have seen people use these. Bonamassa uses them, for example, and obviously you need to get the one that will fit your hole, and that can help. That can help a bit. Failing that, yeah, you just got to find that frequency and deal with it.
Yeah,
which is it can be boring if it's
again. We're talking about that volume thing, and it's even more relevant with acoustic guitars because they are so resonant that, you know, I've had it before with a guitar where it starts resonating, you're playing really loud, and it's like, and then one of the braces pops off inside. You know, because it starts freaking out so much, and just like bing, snaps off inside. Yeah,
I have never had that. Yeah.
Have you never had it with an acoustic guitar where it goes?
No.
Okay.
Not when it's broken internally.
Well, yeah, where it's resonated and one of the ladder bracing goes,
wow,
comes off.
Power of sound, like shattering a wine glass down.
Indeed.
Yeah. It might be that there are other more fully featured notch filters available. But I would have thought by setting up the EQ in the first place, thinking about proximity, and it might be that you've just got to turn down a bit and have a bit more in the house, as it were.
Yeah. It depends on the gig, doesn't it? If you're doing background stuff and it's all very controlled, then that's lovely. But if you're, you know, the gigs I used to do with Doug, with the Bipolar Bears, we were loud, you know, and overdrive pedals and stuff. And because also as a duo, so I needed all the bottom end on the acoustic. So, you know, I wasn't shy about having that, especially, you know, the low strings, you know, boom. And when you get that sort of volume with a resonant guitar, it's really, really tricky.
And then if your bass player, if your guitar happens to resonate at, you know, G sharp on the bass player's low E string, and that's what key your song's in, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Because that's driving it, and that can be problematic. And I think once you get into those higher volume environments with loud bands and all of that, that's where you start seeing small-bodied guitars a bit more. Yeah.
The phase switch
hybrids.
In those situations can be very handy.
Phase switch. Yeah. Didn't even think about the phase switch. Try the phase switch if you haven't already.
That can be very handy.
Yeah, I've done that before where I've gone, feedback's gone, but I just don't like the sound as much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
good luck, G.
Yeah, good
luck. Thank you for your generosity. And Brad Schultz, thank you for your generosity. That's very kind of you.
Yeah, cheers, Brad.
He says, hello for Orlando. From Orlando, says Brad Schultz. I saw Matt Schofield for the first time last night, drooled over his 61 Strat and Classic Reverb signature, then noticed he'd added a harmonious Monk and an Origin Halcyon to the chain. Happy Monday to all. Amazing to see the true Strato master at work.
Oh, how lovely.
Matt using a harmonious Monk. That is really cool.
Very cool. That's very cool. I had no idea.
That's really cool. He's if you don't know who Matt Schofield is, check him out. He's been on that pedal show. His record's out. He is just, a huge influence on me. He is a monster player.
Yeah.
And that whole Strat, amp, volume, dynamic thing, he's worked on that his whole life, and he is just masterful at it.
Yeah.
I saw David Grissom posted something on Instagram yesterday saying that him and Matt and somebody else who I can't remember, with apologies, are doing a guitar clinic in Florida.
That's tempting.
It's like,
yeah, wow.
Good on you, Brad. Glad you enjoyed that. We love Matt. He's a mate, and he's so good. He is so good. And Harmonious Monk, that's very cool.
That's very cool.
That's really cool.
Savage Henry says, Dan, is your SG pickguard 3 or 5 ply? Well, this being a 61, you tell me, but that looks like a 2 ply to me.
Yeah, it might have a super thin one right on the bottom, but it does look like 2. Can you see what colour it is underneath? You can see it just under there, maybe.
I can't see. No, I don't want to bend it.
It's the snapping moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like 2 from above, but there might be a super thin black layer right on the bottom. I don't know. I don't know enough about...
not more than... Wouldn't be more than 3.
It certainly isn't 5.
No.
I don't know enough about history of those guitars.
It's the 7 screw ones that are the earlier ones.
And bear in mind, it's a student guitar.
Yeah.
It was Gibson's cost-effective guitar, so the thought of them putting a 5-ply pickguard on there seems unlikely.
Right. Was that the luxury model 5-ply?
Yeah, I mean, as you went up, you got more binding, you got more inlay, you got more, Anyway, Chris Quinn. Dan, I have a large deluxe Mistress, a retrosonic flange, an electric lady, and a long amp. But I need a real vintage Mistress. Talk me into it, says Chris Quinn.
So you got a large, so I'm assuming that's the 24 volt deluxe. You got long amp, you've got, what's the other ones?
Elect Lady.
Yep.
So the Moore.
Yep.
Retrosonic.
Yep. Oh, Retrosonic. Okay.
Which is really groovy.
Yep. Very
The long amp.
Yep.
Which is really lovely. But I think I need a real vintage deluxe electric Mistress like yours.
Oh, mate. Yeah. Okay. Talk you into it. Okay. For me, it was the first vintage effect I ever plugged into. That one. And I heard, and I just connected with it. That's in a way that scared me. Now, I don't use that on my board because of the level drops. It's noisy, blah, blah, blah. However, when I'm recording, I can have 10 flanges here and I plug that one in and it just has something about it.
No doubt.
And it might be that it's not as fat. This, I can't even tell you what it is. There's something in it that just makes it a little bit, yeah. I can't even describe it. And it shouldn't do, because all the other ones, like the main one I have on my rig is the Thorpe flanger.
Camouflage.
The camouflage. And I love that thing. It sounds fantastic. It's so much more flexible, blah, blah, blah. But for a Mistress sound, it's really, really tricky to go past the original. I love them all, and they're all wonderful. But yeah, if you get a chance to find an original one, and they all sound different as well because they're all really old.
Yep.
My one sounds particularly good.
I think what you need to do in those situations when you've decided you want something is stop sweating about it.
Right.
And then just wait for the exact right one to come along. Because if you go out all hot, credit card in hand, you're going to pay over the odds for something that isn't perfect. Because you got to have it now. But if you can just sit on that, because you've got all the others, you've got the tone, you've got the sound, you don't need it tomorrow. Keep your eye. One day, one will pop up. And then you go.
Sure.
Don't compromise.
Yeah.
Don't go, I want this, but you know what, I'll accept that. Or, there's that one, but it's got 2 missing knobs and it needs 4 repairs and it's only $600. Don't go for that one.
Yeah.
So you've made the decision. Be cool with the decision and just wait for the right one to come along.
Yeah.
If your character will allow you to do that.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Yeah. And then, it's inevitable, isn't it? It's a bit like the old Strat. I knew it was going to happen one day.
And boy, did it happen.
And it just had to happen in the right way at the right time.
Yeah. And it just, what a magical thing that is. It's so great. It's so great. Fabrizio Capello has asked a Gigri question about his Atom. Fabrizio, you're talking about you've got effects in the loop of your amp that you want to switch. You don't want to put them in the Atom. You want to switch them remotely, but you still want to have trails. You can put them in a wetter box that is remotely switchable that will give you trails. But I think what you're saying is you don't like the way that the lower impedance is interacting with the loop of your amplifier. Best thing is if you get in touch through support and we can go through your signal path and give you some options. It's quite an in-depth thing to look at, so it's not something I can quickly go through here. Short answer though, what would work would be a wetter box. You stick the stereo effects in the wetter box and you remote switch the wetter box with the trails thing turned on. That would work. But you're still, as soon as you turn trails on, you need to remember that you're mixing, and that mixer has to have a low impedance on the output. And so the effects have a low impedance, the effects have high impedance on the input, and the mixer has to have a low impedance on the output. So that's a buffer, right? And if what you're not liking about the pedals in the loop is the low impedance that they have, you're going to run into a similar problem. So anyway, contact support, and we'll do everything we can to get you sorted out.
Sorry for looking at my phone. Ainsley Lister is sending me pictures of SGs.
Brilliant.
Going, I've just found this one. Just found this one.
Oh, man.
Brian. Hello, Brian. I'm assuming you're not my dad because you want to buy a 2-Rock TS1. He says, Happy New Year, Mick. What colour suede grill is your TS1? I'm looking to order something similar. Also, any chance you'll do a full video on it? Yeah, I am going to do a video on it and the CRS. Look, I mean...
Yes, you've got to do it.
I get that it's niche and it's not exactly accessible for a lot of people, but people who are interested in 2-Rock really want to see it and hear it, so I'm going to do it. It is brown, chocolate suede, and oxblood.
I remember when it turned up, and I just looked at it. It was like, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I like the combination so Joey had on his Bloomfield, which was chocolate suede, and the Vox, which is very dumbly.
Yeah.
I like the oxblood because it sort of, even though it is dumbly, it sort of moves it away from that straight Dumble clone thing a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you're just not going to be sorry, whatever you go for. Good luck, Brian. Mike 2203 fan. Hey, Mike. He says, hi, D&M. Apart from my D&M drive and my Keeley Halo, all my pedals are Boss. An RC1, an RV5,
nice,
DD6, CE5, BF3, FZ5, BD2 and OC5.
Nice.
Am I completely digital? What analog pedals should I buy? RV5, yes. DD6, yes. CE5, yes. BF3, don't know.
No, BF3 isn't. But so yeah, they're digital, but they have an analog drive-through. So basically the analog, the nature of the analog signal from the guitar, it goes in, it splits off analog. One side gets processed digitally, and then that gets mixed back in on top of the analog. So that's what we talk about, an analog drive-through, and they all have analog drive-through. I'm a 99% sure they all have analog drive-through, because Boss are really good at that stuff.
The fuzz might not. That's the COSM modelling fuzz.
The COSM doesn't. Okay,
no, that's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
So why would you want to try something analog? And that would be for the particular flavour or effect that analog brings. And where that is unique, I think, is in delays.
Yeah.
So you might want to try an analog delay, something like a Carbon Copy or Way Huge Aquapus or any of the other great analog delays out there, Bucket Brigade analog delays. But only if, Mike, you want that kind of dark, crunchy thing that happens as the repeats go off. If you really love your DD6 for its... And that will have an analog simulation mode in it, but it's not quite the same as a proper Bucket Brigade analog. So that might be a thing to think about. But if the delay sounds to you like a kind of clean and present and you don't want that, then that's not a good place to look. Proper analog fuzz can be fun.
Yeah.
The FZ5 is great, but there's nothing really like a traditional fuzz face or a tone bender or a muff if you like those sounds.
Yeah.
And if you're not that into fuzz, then don't. Other than that, I wouldn't get hung up on it.
No. If it's giving you the sound that you
Yeah, you've got
really
such
like.
a lot of latitude there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get hung up on it unless there's a specific sound that only analog can do, which in our mind would be a bucket brigade delay, a proper vintage fuzz,
Yeah.
and Dan would argue a flanger. I don't know what's on the C5. Does it have a C2 mode?
I'm not sure if it's a stereo. It's like a stereo superchorus, isn't it?
Yeah. So if the CE5 only does that kind of very modern, lush, massive multi-voice digital chorus, then something that's very cool is a proper analog chorus in the style of a C2.
Yeah, cool. I mean,
Yeah.
great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too hung up on whether it's analog or digital, Mike. You've got so much latitude there. I think you've got plenty of fun
Yeah.
going on, unless there's something you specifically want. Brett Tozzi, or Totzi,
G'day, Brett.
or Tozzi. Hello, Brett. He says, I just found my dream amp, a 68 Bassman.
Come on.
Get out of town. Running a 112 cab,
Oh,
pedal
yeah.
platform. I need to find a 4 ohm speaker, efficient, not too bright. Any suggestions?
So, tell me why you wouldn't use an EV in that.
Do well to find a 4 ohm one, I think.
Oh, okay. But if you had an 8 ohm one in there, the 4 ohms from the output would drive an 8 ohm EV.
Yeah, would be fine.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. All the basements and stuff that I know of are 2 ohm outputs driving a quartet of 8 ohm speakers all wired in parallel. 4 and 8 and 8 with 4 and that in parallel into 2. And generally they're sort of low wattage speakers.
Yeah.
So a 50 watt speaker a 50 watt 4 ohm speaker, because the 4 ohm instantly is going to be, louder. What's a good 4 ohm speaker for a basement thing? It's weird, right? Because the Tweedy thing, that mid-range thing I love that into Alnicos, and that when the mid-range starts to push those Alnicos into that area where they're going, I love that. But if what you're looking at is something, I don't know, more dumbly, with that, in that area of that mid-range.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll just have a look at the spec. It's bringing back memories of being at Analog Man's house, where we had that jam, and that was a 50 watt Silverface Bassman, wasn't it?
Right.
Oh man, that was just.
That was a 2x12 I was running into that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's it. Because if it's a 4 ohm, then you can have two 8 ohm speakers
Yeah.
in parallel. You could try a 210 cab with Alnico Golds or something. That would work nice. That would be really nice.
Yeah, Joseph Boyle says, a good 4 ohm speaker for a bassman is 2 8 ohm speakers.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am with it. 4 ohm speakers aren't that common. Jensen, totally worth looking at Jensen's
Jensen stuff.
They do an amazing amount of things. The Jensen speaker in that Mesa Cali Tweed
Right.
is brilliant.
Right.
Is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
maybe
that's
one
a
of
really
those.
good one. And WGS do some great stuff as well. They, what was that? Not the Black Shadow. They had. Anyway, I guess it depends if you want to look at the Alnico, if that's the sort of tone you're after, or what you want is clarity and bottom end. finish 30.
Yeah. It's tough.
It's tricky.
It's so tough. It's so tough.
I think people have got some good suggestions in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, tricky.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good luck, Brett. Sorry we can't be of more help. I think your issue with Forum might be availability rather as much as what speaker there is.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I don't know, I could be talking cobblers there. Do all the major manufacturers do a 4-ohm as standard? They usually do 8 and 16.
Dan Bow, this is a great suggestion. The Eminence Texas Heat 4. That is a great suggestion.
There you go.
Yeah.
Says Texas on it. Must be good.
Yeah. Yeah. They're really good. There's also one called the Cannabis Rex, which I think might work really well. But I know
That's
that
Tone Tubby, is it?
I believe so. But yeah, I know that the I've heard some great sounds from the Texas Heat. So yeah, that's a good shout.
There you go. Andreas Johansson. Hello, Andreas Johansson.
Hello.
He says, my 73 Strat, a Coke Zero, and TPS. Can't beat that.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Well played.
Brian Carpenter. Hi, Brian. He says, would you consider doing a wet-dry episode with various small amps, lower than 15 watts? I'd love to see various combinations, speaker size relationship, etc. I think that's a great idea.
It's a really great
and we
idea.
could kind of do it in a quick fire. Just have like 10 amps.
Yeah. And
bring
go
them in.
Lower.
Cycle them out one by one.
Yeah.
What we should do is build a giant revolving circle.
I love it. Let's do it. Let's do it. That's great. That's great.
That's a nice idea, Brian. Thank you. We will do that. I'm going to take a picture so that I remember. I want my phone to take a picture.
Todd Roy says, Jensen to me is the sound of Fender amps. Yeah, I
have to agree.
Yeah, they are. It's great.
Christopher Trimmer. Have you ever played a 2-Rock Bloomfield 4020? It's pretty low wattage for them. Is it still in line with the rest of their stuff? I have played a Bloomfield 4020 and I liked it a great deal. Let's remember, we're talking about 2-Rock 40 watts.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's a quartet of 6v6s, if I could be wrong.
That's the one that I need to try.
I can tell you that'll get you kicked out of any band you wish to play in. Well, maybe not any band, but certainly, yeah. I mean, it's going to leave something like a Hot Rod Deluxe, AC15, all the normal mid-power amps. It'll leave them for dead in volume and headroom. I don't mean to be as aggressive as that. It's 40 watts of 2-Rock. It will be crazy loud. So don't worry about volume. What's nice about 4020 is you can get that power section working a little bit more than you can in the 100 watters. So like my CRS, for example, it's just majestic. It's got plenty of headroom. It does fur up quite nice. Its real sweet spot is just a bit too loud for me these days. Even Matt Schofield runs this with 3 dB attenuator now, I think.
Right.
The TS1 is a 50.
Oh man.
And it's crazy loud, but you can get it working a bit more at kind of, well, the kind of volumes that would get you kicked out of most bands, but not the TPS band. So I don't think you've got to worry about that at all. It's a wonderful amp, the Bloomfield, because it's got the 2 channels, it's got reverb. It's a lovely, lovely thing.
It's the one that I think I have to try. I love the 6v6 idea.
I think I could be wrong. I think it's 6v6s.
Yeah.
I mean, I am significantly biased. I just don't. I have not got enough good things to say about 2-Rock amps. I love them. I love them.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
So yeah, good luck. Let's see then. Let's see where we are, Daniel. Scoring on the dooring.
Quick question from Paul. Lauren, hi Dan and Mick. I don't suppose you have any idea if a Strat pickup can fit in the single coil neck cavity of a Telecaster. I've searched far and wide on the forums like 2GP Episode.
It cannot.
No, Paul, it will not work.
You would have to
Route it out.
route it out.
Yes, don't do that.
However, there are, if you look at something like the Telecaster Twisted Telly set,
Yeah.
there are telly neck pickups made especially to sound a bit more like a Strat neck pickup. So it might be that you can get a telly one. The only thing to be aware of is some of them have deeper coils. And depending on the route in the guitar, it might not be deep enough, but that would seem crazy.
Yeah. I've not had a Telecaster that a twisted neck wouldn't fit in.
Yeah. The really good news is just take the scratch plate off the guitar. It'll just come off. You don't have to worry about anything else. There's nothing attached to it. It'll just come off and you can see everything you need to see right there.
Yeah.
It's not like on a Strat, taking the pickguard off is a nightmare because everything's attached to it. But on a telly pickguard, nothing's attached to it. You can just take it off. Happy days.
Yeah. Unless it is attached to it.
What's attached to it then?
Unless the pickup is with the screws through the pickguard.
Does
the
that
newer
happen?
ones. Yeah, the newer ones have the neck pickup is attached into the pickguard.
Shiver. No.
Yeah, look. Even on the reproduction
What?
of Red.
No.
Yeah. Go look at any modern Telecaster.
Oh my God. When did they start doing that?
They've done that for a long time.
Oh no.
Yeah. But that's okay.
Turns out that on a lot of modern tellies, something is actually attached to the pickguard.
None of mine. Brilliant. Right. So we'll leave Mick in this existential crisis. Oh, is that it? Are we done?
Okay. I've got to hug something old so nobody changes it,
Okay. Yeah, great. You hang on to that, I'll hang on to this one.
despite the refret and the pots.
Okay. Brilliant. Well, it's
I'll tell you how I feel, Dan. I feel like this.
Good. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3.
That's how I feel about screws and the telly neck pickup.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that guitar. I love this guitar.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Who doesn't love guitars, Dan?
No one I know.
There'd have to be something fundamentally wrong with you, wouldn't there? Okay, thanks for being with us. As we mentioned earlier, if you're still with us, thank you. We're going to do VCQ every other week for a while, just to see how that goes.
Yeah.
The reasoning is we want to put some more time into doing some other things. Also, Dan is hella busy with Gig Rig at the moment, and we're trying to be kinder to ourselves a little bit, although we realise that is a problem for you lot if you do rely on this every week, and for that we apologise.
Yeah, we're going to try it out. There'll still be Friday shows and stuff. You know.
And who knows, we might get 3 weeks down the line and go, I really miss VCQ.
Yeah.
Because we love it.
Yeah, we do. And we're so grateful for all of you that come and hang out with us. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't mean to blame it on Dan, by the way. It's me as well. I'm busy too.
Well, yeah, we just, we don't want to, what we don't want to do is put so much pressure on ourselves that it changes the focus, because we love doing this. We absolutely love it. And that's sort of sacred to us. And we don't want to get to a point where it becomes hard. with everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
You know, and we want to make sure that everything that we deliver for you guys is worthwhile, and there's something in it for everyone.
Something in it for everyone. It's of true value to the whole world, Daniel. Not just chasing numbers on YouTube. Meantime, we are going to film tomorrow. We've got David Ranger coming in. We're going to crank that SG to high heaven alongside some Les Pauls and ask SG or Les Paul in a very sort of clickbaity kind of way. And yeah, just get on with being idiots for the rest of the year.
Yeah, come on.
Thanks for being here, everyone. Hope you have a great week. Thanks for being part of the TPS family. We really appreciate it. We'll see you Friday and next. Yeah. Bye.
Don't go yet. Oh, heavens. There you go.